Hi, welcome to Step-by-Step Fish Keeping. This is the second video of our two-part series on how to set up an Opae Ula tank. In this video, we will go over how to cycle the tank and acclimate the shrimps to their new environment. One, cycling. Wastes from aquatic animals contain ammonia. It is highly toxic. Even a small amount can kill in a short time. Luckily, there is a group of bacteria that feed on ammonia and create nitrite as waste, Nitrosomonas species. While nitrite is less deadly than ammonia, it is still very toxic to aquatic animals. But as you might guess, there is another group of bacteria that feed on nitrite, Nitrobacter species. In turn, they excrete nitrate that is much less toxic to aquatic animals. Cycling refers to the process of establishing both kinds of beneficial bacteria in our tank to help eliminate ammonia and nitrite from the water. They leave us with nitrate that is easily managed with regular water changes, plants, and/or algae. Heroes. Seeding the tank. Seeding a tank with an initial population of beneficial bacteria can greatly reduce the cycling time. It works for freshwater, marine, or brackish aquariums. In this video, we use dirty filter sponges from an already established brackish aquarium to seed the tank. But it is perfectly fine to cycle a tank with just a clean sponge filter without seeding it. The actual cycling procedure is the same for both methods. There are a number of commercial live beneficial bacteria products designed for this purpose. If you use a commercial product, the seeding process is the same as what we are about to see. You would just administer the recommended product dosage instead of squeezing the dirty filter sponges. Remove filter sponges from an existing cycled brackish tank with similar salinity to the new tank, approximately 1.009 Sg for this tank. Wring a sponge into the new tank, dip it in the tank water and wring it a few more times. Do the same for the other sponge. The brownish debris swirling in the water contains countless of beneficial bacteria and other microorganisms. When cycling without seeding, we must first wait for the Nitrosomonas population to build up and produce nitrite. Only then will there be enough food for the Nitrobacter population to expand. By seeding the tank, we introduce large populations of both types of beneficial bacteria from the start. This cuts down on the time it takes for the beneficial bacteria to build up, and so speeds up the cycling process. Don't forget to return the filter sponges back to the old tank. So why did we use a dirty freshwater filter instead of a new one in the first video? The dirty filter was teeming with beneficial organisms. Even if most died due to difference in salinity, we would still seed the tank with those that lived. The microorganisms that died produce ammonia as they decay and feed our newly introduced beneficial bacteria. Testing water parameters. Introducing livestock before the tank is cycled could stress and potentially kill them. So we use a water test kit to monitor the pH, ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate levels daily or every couple of days to help us determine when cycling has completed. I'm using a freshwater test kit because the brackish water salinity is closer to freshwater than seawater. Please consider watching our tutorial on how to use the API Master Water Test Kit if you would like a refresher. Here are the test results for day 1. pH 8.2, ammonia about 1.0 ppm, nitrite, about 1.0 ppm, nitrate, about 5.0 ppm. These results on the first day of cycling is typical of a seeded tank with added ammonia. The ammonia likely came from decaying microorganisms and detritus added with the dirty freshwater sponge filter. First day of cycling for a tank that has not been seeded will show no nitrite and nitrate even after adding ammonia. Adding a source of ammonia. We measured about 1.0 ppm of ammonia currently in the tank. 2 to 4 ppm of ammonia should be maintained throughout the entire cycling duration. So I should raise the ammonia by at least 1 ppm to stay in that range. How do we know how much ammonia to add? I like to use this online tool from Spec-Tanks called Ammonia Calculator for Aquariums. The web address can be found in the description below. Okay, let's start. Set the unit preference, US gallons for me. Input the tank volume. Since I added about 20 gallons of water, this is the number I will use. Next, it wants to know the concentration of the source ammonia. There are various ways to add ammonia to the tank, such as fish flakes or a small piece of shrimp. My preference is pure ammonia solution without any additives like this janitorial strength ammonia from Ace Hardware. Dr. Tim's ammonium chloride is another popular choice. This way, we can easily control the right amount to add using the ammonia calculator. This is a 10% ammonium hydroxide solution. Let's leave the ammonia solution concentration as 10. The ammonia level previously measured was 1 ppm, so let's input that into the field. I'll enter 3 ppm as our target ammonia level. Set the target to 4 ppm as a buffer if you are planning to check the ammonia level every few days. The calculator shows exactly how much ammonia solution to add to reach the target level of 3 ppm, 1.5 milliliters or 31 drops. Withdraw the amount of ammonia shown in the calculator with a pipette and dose it into the tank. "24 hours later. Day 2. I ran the tests 24 hours later and these are the results. Ammonia looks to be about 1.5 ppm. So I'll use the ammonia calculator to determine how much more needs to be added in order to raise the concentration back up to 3 ppm and dose it into the tank. Repeat this routine of testing the water every 24 hours or couple of days until cycling completes. If the ammonia level falls below 2 ppm, add enough back to the tank to maintain it at 2 to 4 ppm. Our first goal in the following days is to wait for ammonia level to fall to 0 ppm 24 hours after raising it to 2 to 4 ppm. There, day 11, ammonia dropped down to 0 ppm. Our next goal is to wait for nitrite to drop down to 0 ppm 24 hours after bringing ammonia back up to 2 to 4 ppm daily. There, day 17, ammonia 0 ppm, nitrite 0 ppm, nitrate about 160 ppm. That means we're done, right? I mean, we've got 0 ppm ammonia and nitrite with about 160 ppm nitrate. Maybe. Let's see if we get the same results for a few more days in a row to be sure. Good. Good. Nitrite, about 0.5 ppm. Wait, what? Did the nitrite just go up from 0 ppm? Don't worry, these things happen. The system is not stable yet, let's give it a couple more days. Day 21, nitrite went down to 0.25 ppm. Good. Day 23, nitrite went down to 0 ppm. Let's give it a few more days. Good. Good. Voila! Day 26, that's 4 days in a row measuring 0 ammonia and nitrite with about 160 ppm nitrate. I think it's safe to say now that we are finally cycled. 2. Tank cleanup. Here's how the aquarium looks after 26 days of cycling. The light was on for 12 hours a day. Algae has covered majority of the front and side glass panels. Hair algae also started growing on the hardscape. Diatoms, brown algae, are covering the substrate. This is what some affectionately refer to as the ugly stage. But this is exactly what we want. It's an all-out, all-you-can-eat buffet for the Opae Ula and snails. We measured about 160 ppm or more nitrate at the cycle completion. As hardy as Opae Ula, this is still high nitrate level. I'm going to clean the aquarium glass and do a 90% water change now since no further water change is planned for this tank again. Remove algae from the front panel using an algae scraper. Then, drain as much water in the trimmings out with a gravel vacuum. Refill the tank with prepared brackish water at about 1.008 SG. Plus or minus 0.002 SG from the original salinity is okay. Too much difference in salinity and or water temperature may shock the beneficial bacteria into a mini cycle. In that case, the beneficial bacteria suddenly lose their peak efficiency and temporarily cannot handle the full normal ammonia or nitrite load. That could potentially be deadly for the livestock. Here are the test results after 90% water change. Nitrite is at about 0.5 ppm. It looks like we hit a mini cycle after all. No problem. We'll repeat what we did earlier during cycling and give the beneficial bacteria some time to recover. Test the water daily and add enough ammonia to bring the concentration to 2 to 4 ppm until ammonia and nitrite drop to 0 ppm 24 hours later. Nitrite went down to 0 ppm the next day. Let's give it a few more days. Good. Good. 3 days in a row, ammonia and nitrite measuring 0 ppm. We're good to go! If you're planning to purchase Opae Ula shrimps, now would be a good time to order them. Just maintain the daily routine of testing and dosing ammonia like we did during cycling until they arrive. 3. Acclimation. It can be stressful, even lethal, for aquatic animals to suddenly move from one environment to another. To avoid it, we place them in a container with some water from the old tank, then slowly add water from the new tank to it. It gives the animals time to adjust to any differences in water parameters. This process is known as acclimation. I like to use a half-gallon clear pitcher. Fill it with 25% old tank water along with the new livestock. There are about 50 Opae Ula shrimps and various snails in this pitcher. Water from the new tank is then slowly added to the container over a period of time. There are several ways to acclimate. I use the drip acclimation method for shrimps or nerites that are likely kept in freshwater tanks by the sellers. Do-it-yourself drip acclimation tool. Cut a length of airline tubing long enough to go from the new tank to the acclimation container. Obtain an air control valve. You can also use a binder clip or a rubber band instead. Insert the valve into one end of the airline tubing. Twist the knob to adjust the flow rate to the desired level. Drip acclimation. Insert the end of the drip acclimation tool without the control valve deep enough into the new tank. Secure it with a lid, clip, or tape. Open the valve all the way, then give it a quick draw with the mouth as if using a straw. Adjust the flow rate with the control valve just so it's not gushing. Anchor the control valve end with a piece of tape securely. Fine-tune the flow rate until it is about 1 to 2 drops a second. You can use an even slower rate for sensitive species. 3 hours later. The acclimation container is nearly filled up after 3 hours of drip acclimation. If the shrimps were just purchased, you might discard half of the water and do another round of drip acclimation. Since my shrimps are kept under similar conditions as the new tank, I'm just going to introduce them now. 4. Introduction to Aquarium. For newly purchased shrimps, I would drain the acclimation container through a fine net to discard the water before introduction. I am skipping that process because the shrimps came from another disease-free home tank. Slowly pour some of the water into the tank. Lower the container into the water to release the rest. Make sure nerite snails are right side up. They may have trouble righting themselves. And we are done! Now the shrimps have much more room to grow. Five, maintenance. This tank took quite a bit of effort to set up, but it was totally worth it. It will more than pay for itself from almost never needing any water changes if you don't consistently overfeed. The light will provide enough food for the shrimps and snails at 12 hours a day. I supplement feed a pinch of spirulina powder once or twice a week. Very small dose of Bacter AE works great too. But Opae Ula will readily take most any food suitable for dwarf shrimps such as flakes, pellets, or wafers. Replaced evaporated water with only plain distilled, reverse osmosis or deionized reverse osmosis water. Salt will not evaporate with water, so topping off with salt water will increase the salinity over time. Thank you for watching. Please check the description for the equipment listing and additional info.